Coming up next on Cheap Book Review, I've got A Fistful of Westerns. Welcome into the Cheap Book Review. As I was saying at the opening, I've been obsessed with Westerns here lately, and to the chagrin of my entire family. But yet, movies, books, all of it. So ebooks, that stuff. So I've been really kind of into that. A lot of people may know or may not know that I'm really into art. And so one of the things about my collection in particular is if I see a paperback and I just think it's got a really great cover, then I'm really drawn into it. Which I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but you know, I kind of do. But so what I'm going to do is I have this stack or a fistful of Westerns, and I am going to go through each one of them, and we're going to look at the book, the cover art, and talk about that. It's kind of a timeline too, because I put them in order of publication, so we'll kind of see, you know, how book covers have changed and what we're up to now, which I don't think is anywhere near as impressive. But anyway, without further ado, let's do it. Now, like I was saying, I have picked up these books at various places over time, and this is just a stack of books, a fistful of Westerns, and I just happened to pick these up and just really was taken by the cover. Actually, this one in particular, as I recall, I was taken by the blurb on the back. I mean, it's got great cover art, which that does kind of stand alone. You got that white negative space taking up a good part of it, which is, I mean, that's going to draw your eye right there because you're going to see red and white, almost totally white cover. Yes, I studied graphic design. That's what my degree's in, so sorry. But anyway, it's got this great cover, and the back is pretty plain, but it does stand out. But when I read the back blurb, I was really kind of taken aback by this book in particular. I thought it was really cool, and definitely one I want to read. One Man Massacre, which apparently was a series, this particular character, and he stepped back and gazed at the tall, smiling man in wonderment, you know. Anyway, other Buchanan classes. Trap for Buchanan, Buchanan Gets Mad. So it's the Buchanan series by Jonas Ward, and just looked really cool. And I love old men's adventure paperbacks and artwork and things from the up until the modern age, because I mean, even some of the modern ones do have some artwork on them, but a lot of covers are photo covers now, and it's really kind of irritating a little bit. But we'll drop that one down here. Of course, you're going to have Louis L'Amour if you're talking about Westerns, and this is probably, well, actually, this one was from 1959, One Man Massacre. This one's a little later. I believe it was 1961. So 1961 jacket for Sackett, the famous Sackett series by Louis L'Amour. Over 20 some books in the Sackett series, talking about the Sackett family. And but I just thought that was a great cover. One man, yellow sky, looking over the butte. I just thought that was pretty cool. And see, they were kind of smart. They like reused the art a little bit on the back, and we'll talk about that. This next one is also a Louis L'Amour. I got a bunch of Louis L'Amour, of course, but I love this graphic design thing of the Six Guns. I really thought that was pretty cool. But just a great impressionistic cover. Louis L'Amour, the Mustang Man, and this one's from the 60s as well, I believe. This one is from 1966, so not bad to be holding up that long for a paperback. In the back, no artwork on the back. Come on, Bantam, what are you doing? Anyway, I saw this one. This one really stood out to me in the store, and I saw it and I was like, that's just really cool. It's because he's hanging on the edge of the cliff. It's also got the Six Guns, and but the broken gun. I just thought that was pretty cool. But that was one of my favorites that stood out. I don't know why they got rid of that, because I really loved that kind of logo thing. I think that's important. The Skyliners. Another Sackett Brothers book. But you can see what's going on. And it's amazing that, like, this book's from, oh, you can see where somebody had it before. Yes, of course, I got them at used bookstores. This one's from 1967, so it's as old as I am. So, anyway, the Skyliners. And I saw this one, and it kind of stood out, too, because you had the great white cover, and then just the two guys back to back, the Lonely Men. Yet another Sackett book, but, and then now they've started putting this picture on the back of Louis L'Amour. And this one came from the Book Exchange in Hickory, Book Exchange, now available. No. Anyway, this one came out in 1969, so not too bad. I love that. Love that artwork on there. It's really nice. And this one in particular, I like that they finally started numbering the Sacketts, so that was kind of cool. But the guy looks, if you look at him, he looks skull-like. Like he's got like almost a skull feature, but it's like it's supposed to be his eyes shaded. But this is Galloway. I've seen several covers for Galloway. I think this is a Frank Bauma, but I'm not sure. The guy that used to do the covers for Doc Savage. But it looks a lot like Bauma's style. And some of these are just weird ones I picked up that I just thought had striking covers. This one came out in 1970. So pretty cool looking. Now this one, Steve Lee wrote Sloan, which is like a kung fu cowboy thing. He's like a Chinaman, which is, you know, similar to the TV show Kung Fu, which took place in the Old West with David Carradine, and he even kind of looks like David Carradine in the picture, and it looks like some of the poses they had. But what I noticed about this book when I picked it up, I was like, it's not really got a price on it, it's not really got any of that. It's got prices in the back, but they're all like foreign. It's like UK, Australia. So I believe this book came from the UK, but it's a softer than a normal paperback. It's kind of floppy feeling. It's kind of odd. But anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. I also found Sloan #2, but the cover was very boring. And I'm not showing you that one today, but it was a pretty boring cover. But he's like as swift as a cobra, Sloan. I just thought that was pretty cool. And the Trailsman was a long running series from the 80s. I think this came out, yeah, that was something like 1974 for the Kung Fu one. But this one, I believe, came out in 1980. Yeah, so the Trailsman was a series for a while. And so it come out, ran for a long time. This is like book #4, but I really thought it had an interesting cover. And the guy looks a lot like Clint Eastwood in that particular picture, but still got artwork. And then here's a sampling of the other Trailsman books, which I thought that's kind of cool. So you can kind of see them and pick out which one you wanna get. Now we're up to a different take. That is and this is a little rough. It's a rough cover. But this is from the Edge series by George Gilman, which there's a whole group of, in the 70s, the Westerns kind of started dying out other than like Louis L'Amour and folks like that. So they kind of picked up the slack in England, and they're called like the Piccadilly Cowboys because there's so many authors that are from London. And I just thought that was kind of cool. And George Gilman is one of those. He had apparently adapted some novels for the Fistful of Dollars movies, and they even did novels after that went after those three, the Man with No Name movies. And so spaghetti westerns were the theme of the time, and were very violent, like think the original Django. And so Django was really violent, you know, cutting off a guy's ear and all that stuff. So that's what Edge is. Edge is kind of like the guy's name. His name was Hedges, but he ends up becoming Edge. And anyway, he is a most unlikable fellow. He's probably the most unlikable character that you would ever meet, but he's kind of like a villain as the hero. But sometimes he just, you know, I mean, he's just downright mean. I've read the first 2 books. The second one is notorious for being so mean towards women, and it was very violent overall. But I mean, people are getting shot left and right, and things are happening to a lot of people. But yes, in particular, there were some women that got like pretty beat up, pretty bad. But anyway. Apparently Gilman got in trouble for that, so he quit doing that. So the next book, they totally changed, and he was more back to what he was in the first book. So Edge is like, he's just this really tough guy. Sometimes he ends up like being a lawman. Sometimes he ends up, working as a bounty hunter. It's all over the place. There's 40-some books, but they're a lot like the spaghetti westerns that you remember. They're a lot like Fistful of Dollars and that type of stuff, but they're just got a little edge meaner. I guess that's the edge. But anyway, it's definitely, they're highly sought after because people really like them, because it's not like Louis L'Amour. It's not Roy Rogers kind of stuff. It's not John Wayne kind of stuff. It's the spaghetti western kind of feel. And this is number 36, Town on Trial. I love that cover. And these were printed in, they're from England, but they were printed here too. Now we start getting into what they call the adult westerns. And so apparently at a time in the 80s, it kind of got to where, or late 70s and 80s, some of the westerns started adding sex to the stories, and so men and women started picking them up. And anyway, Lone Star is one of those. You could tell by the cover that it's like continuation of the Long Arm series. Long Arm was also an adult western where he would, meet people and have relations and things like that. So, but then also had your gunfighting and stuff in there. But it was a whole nother thing. After the Piccadilly Cowboys, then came the adult westerns, which is kind of odd. But that's a great cover, and this one came out in 1980, and I just thought that was a great cover. But it's also got the romance element to it, because it's I'm trying to think. Key and Starbuck are the characters, and Key is the martial artist. So it's also got the martial art thing in it. And then, but Starbuck seems to get have more personal relations with people. Here's another Edge book, which is just a great cover. And Edge just kind of the guy down, which is basically the way the books are. But this one's called The Godforsaken, another George Gilman classic there. But just a lot of fun, and just a really rough take on stuff. Now, the Texans, I just thought this was a cool cover. I don't know that much about this series in particular, but I just really like that cover. And never say die, never say retreat, ready, aim, fire. So, but it had a striking cover, and I picked it up. So now we're into the 80s. So this is 1984. So by 1984, you see it's still got the painted covers and stuff. Now we're really into the 80s, because I remember these. I worked at B. Dalton Bookstore when I was in high school and college. Actually in college, now that I think about it. And these were the covers I remember for the Louis L'Amour books. This is actually the first Sackett's Land, but it's got a totally different cover. But I love that profile of the guy and the picture. I thought that was pretty cool. So the start of the Sacketts. Now we're getting into the more modern stuff, and here's an old author, Max Brand, from the 30s and or 30s to 50s, and anyway, first time in paperback. But anyway, I just thought that was a great cover. The gunfighter kind of standing there, and you also got the big Western text, Gunman's Goal. So just looks pretty cool. But this is more of the modern take on them. Well, the actual modern take. This is right before the modern take, but now you see it's almost a photograph. And here's Mickey Spillane and Max Allan Collins' Last Stage to Hell Junction, which is a Caleb York Western. Now, Mickey Spillane had actually, which you might know from Mike Hammer. He created the Mike Hammer series of detective stories. But Mickey Spillane had wanted to make a Western, and he came up with a character called Caleb York, and he wrote a movie for John Wayne. and they ended up not doing it. They decided not to do it. And so he had all this stuff, and he left it to Max Allan Collins, who a lot of people know, great author, very prolific. And he allowed, Spillane wanted him to continue his works. So he had some story drafts and stuff, but he had Max Allan Collins finish them. And if you've, Max Allan Collins also has his own series of great books. I mean, great mysteries. He's known for creating, in the comics, he's known for creating mysteries, known for writing Dick Tracy. He's written X-Files books. He's got all those great books in his own series that he's done, which are really good, and usually in the hard case crime books. But these are just a few of the books I picked up. See, that's kind of a boring back to it. They've got all boring in the back. But that more photorealistic is almost, and if you go to get an ebook, I mean, it's almost always this kind of photorealistic book now, and that's how they do it. But I do enjoy this cover, but this is like kind of of all of them, it's kind of the less one, but that's the more modern take, is to do them that way. And there you have it, my friends, a fistful of westerns. There's a couple, Max Brand and Mickey Spillane and Max Allan Collins. Anyway, just a few of the books that are out there. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and go out there to your Caldwell library, go check out books, go check out videos. So go out there, enjoy your reading, and have a great day.